Hey guys, it's me Simo Orahara, and in this video, we will discuss one of Kubo's answers regarding the fate of some Espada in the Hell. Kubo's response will also serve as a starting point to talk about the Espada and who might be in the Hell, as well as the nature of Hell and its relationship to the Soul Society. So, in one of the questions posed to Kubo regarding Zylo Apuro and whether he is in Hell, the question was also about Araniro and if he is there as well. Kubo responded that Araniro is also doing well there. So Kubo confirms that Araniro is also in Hell with Zylo Apuro. The latter's presence in the Hell became official after the release of the Hell one-shot, where we saw Zylo Apuro in his new form after being sent to Hell. However guys, what some may not know is that Kubo had previously created a special chapter on the occasion of the release of the fourth movie, which was also about Hell, and most of the events in that chapter revolved around the first moments of Zylo Apuro and Araniro in the Hell, and Zylo Apuro was killed by Mayuri, while Araniro was killed by Rukia. Thus we can consider Araniro as confirmed to be in Hell as well, and he may appear in the future events if Kubo begins the Hell arc. As for that chapter that was about the fourth movie, I believe that the general idea of that chapter about the fall of Zylo Apuro and Araniro can be considered canon. However, the way they fell and their appearance in that chapter might not be as it actually happened. Why do I say this? Because what Kubo drew in that chapter, including the background of the world and the appearance of Zylo Apuro and Araniro as Arankar, and the appearance of the characters from the fourth movie at the end of the chapter, are all elements that were in the fourth movie. And Kubo confirmed that the story and the events of the movie are separate from the Hell one-shot in previous answer. Or maybe it could be the half of the events of the chapter are canon, where Zylo and Araniro fell into Hell in their original forms from Wikomundo, and some time passed, causing them to merge with the environment of Hell, resulting in the changes we saw in the Hell one-shot. For example, the hollow hole outside Zylo Apuro's body, the change in his clothes, and some new signs on his body, like one of his arms becoming just bones and chains appearing on his face and chest, while the last thing to appear were the horns on the sides of his head. The funny part here guys is that I imagine what horns would like on Araniro. I have an image of the two spheres that make up Araniro sprouting horns. Another thing that's still a topic of discussion guys is who among the other Espada were also sent to Hell. As we mentioned, we have Zylo Apuro and Araniro. So what about those who died like Stark, Baragan, Ilikura, Noitora, Zumari, and finally Yami? Are they in Hell or somewhere else? Firstly guys, it is important to know that the general concept is that sending souls to the Soul Society or Hell doesn't depend on what the soul did as a hollow, but rather on its life as a human. For example, the Hollow Shrieker, he did indeed commit evil deeds as a hollow, but he wasn't sent to Hell for those actions. Instead, it was due to what he did as a human. He was a serial killer who murdered many innocents. Therefore, when Ichigo killed him with his Zanpakuto, he was purified and sent to Hell. So guys, when we talk about the Espada, we're ultimately talking about hollows. Therefore, if we follow this logic, we need several factors to speculate on the fate of each Espada. And the first factor is that they had a previous human life, as sending hollows or souls to Hell depends on their human life, as was the case with the Hollow Shrieker. Secondly, they must be killed by a Zanpakuto, as the Zanpakuto is the weapon used to purify souls and determine their destination, whether the Soul Society or Hell. For example, the 8th Espada Zylo Apuro, we know that he was human in the past and conducted inhuman experiments. Therefore, his human life was full of sins. Secondly, when he became a Hollow and then an Arankar and was killed by Mayuri, he was killed by a Zanpakuto, which meant his fate was Hell. And since Araniro was also sent there, it is likely that the same conditions apply to him. As for Ilikura guys, I believe it was said in the data book that he was born in Wikomundo, meaning that he was a hollow from the beginning. So we don't know what his fate will be, as he was originally a hollow. The second thing guys is his fight with Ichigo. I'm not sure which injury was fatal to him. Was it the Zero which is a hollow attack, or the Zanpakuto strike, because as I said, the Zanpakuto determines the hollow's fate. But as I mentioned, we don't even know the fate of someone who was born as a hollow from the beginning. The same can be said for Baragan. According to the novel, he had been around for a long time, since the dawn of the hollow world. So was he human and then became a hollow, or was like Ilkura, born as a hollow? And another thing, guys, is that Baragan was defeated by his own power, not by a Zanpakuto. Hachigen used Kido to transfer Baragan's power to himself, and he died by his own power. As for Yami and Noichura, we don't know their human backgrounds, but we know they were killed by a Zanpakuto, so their fate could be hell, considering their personalities likely mirrored their human lives. Therefore, they are the most likely to be in hell, along with Zaido Aporo and Araniro. Zomaru was also killed by Bankai, by Zanpakuto, but we don't know if he was a bad person in his human life or not, because his personality didn't seem that bad to me, so I don't know what case where I can put him. And finally, guys, we have Stark. Honestly, Stark, Haribel or Nell are characters I always say were in the wrong world, considering the goodness in their personalities. Stark is a clear example of this. We don't know if he was like Ilkura or if he had a previous human life, but I think if you follow the factors I mentioned, it's assumed that he shouldn't be in hell. However, guys, with the new information Kubo had provided, anything is possible. We are talking about a concept Rukia mentioned in volume 2. Kubo now tells us that Okitake, one of the kindest characters in the world of Bleach, is now in hell. Why? Because of the Konsorisai. So, is there another rule that determines the fate of characters with great spiritual power like Stark or Baragan or Ilkura? Are they also sent to hell just because they are powerful, or is this rule only applied to captains and no one else? The other thing, guys, that I want to end this video with is whether hell is really as we imagine it, like what was mentioned in the 4th movie, as a world of sinners and prison for criminals, or is it just like the Soul Society, nothing more? Why do I say this? Because if we look at the Soul Society, we can't consider it as a heaven for good souls. The only good spot there is a Serity, where the nobles reside, the ones responsible for dividing the original world. The rest of the areas live in poverty. But those who have seen Rukia and Rinji's past, or Gin and Matsumoto's past, will know that the Soul Society is just another world. So based on this, can we say the same thing about hell? I think the answer to this question depends on what Kubo has in store for that world when he returns to continue the manga. So guys, what do you think about Kubo's answers about this topic in general? Tell me guys in the comments, and see you in my next video.